Good morning. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is the air, water, and weather. The earth is the only planet that has life. Why so? Because the distance between the earth and the sun is not too close and not too far. That's why the proper amount of light and heat energy from the sun reaches the surface of the earth. Even the presence of the air and the water are some of the important factors that makes the life possible on the earth. The sun's heat also causes the movement of the air and also give rise to the wind. Even it also changes the state of the water from the solid to liquid or liquid to gas. Next is the weather. Weather you can define the condition of the atmosphere at the particular given time in the particular place. The weather depend upon the different factors like the air, cloud, humidity, rain, sunshine at the particular place. The air is fast or slow, lots of cloud are there or scanty clouds are there. Humidity means the amount of water vapors is high in the atmosphere or low. The rainfall is there or the snowfall is there, or the sun is shining the brightly or dull. There is all factor determining the weather of the particular place in the given time. Our day to day activities get influenced by the change in the weather. For example, if I know tomorrow the cloudy day is there, there may be the possibility of rainfall. That's why if I go outside from the home, I'll carry the umbrella or raincoat with me so that if the rainfall is there, I can protect myself from the rain. So, our day to day activities are influenced by the change in the weather, and the change in the weather occur due to the sun. Next, what is the role of the sun in the weather change? We know that Earth revolve around the sun. That is known as revolution. The movement of the earth around the sun is known as the revolution. Earth take 365 days, 6 hours to complete one revolution around the sun. The portion of the earth which is near to the sun this time has a summer season, which means that the days are longer and the night is shorter. That same when the earth revolves, that particular place becomes away from the sun, and now this place will experience the winter. Means that there is a winter season, the days again become short and the nights become long. So this change in season again occur due to the revolution of the earth around the sun. Earth also rotate about its axis, and this motion is known as rotation. To complete one rotation, earth take 24 hours, and because of this rotation day and night occur. The day is warmer while the nights are cooler, because at the daytime the sun is there and the night the sun is not there. At the time of the noon, which means the mid point of the day, the sun is overhead. At that time it is too hot, while the morning and evening is not so hot. The rotation of the earth also affects the weather of the place. The heat of the sun also causes the winds to blow, as the sun heats up the air and make it very light in weight, and the air move up. As it moves up, the temperature goes down. Again, if the temperature goes down, the molecules become heavy and come down, which result in the formation of the wind. Next is air. Air is the one of the primary element that makes the life possible on the earth. Air is mixture of many gases. It contains nitrogen, it contains oxygen, carbon dioxide, argon, helium, neon, water vapors, dust particles. Lots of things are there in the air. That's why it is known as mixture of gases. Our earth is surrounded by a thin blanket of air, which is known as the atmosphere. We cannot see air, we only feel air. It is transparent. We even feel the air when it's moved. It means that when it is in form of a breeze or a storm or a wind. Now, what is the sea breeze and land breeze? We know that the sun heat both the land and water. Earth has the two main things, one is the water and other is the land. Both get heat up due to the heat of the sun. But the land heat up the faster than the water. It means that the thing which is going to heat up faster, it's going to cool down faster also. It also cool down faster as comparatively to the water. The cooling and heating effect of the land and water give rise to the sea breeze and land breeze. During the daytime, the sea is cool and land is warm because land becomes warmer faster as comparatively to the water, due to which the hot air above the land rises up and cool air above the sea blow towards the land, and the hot air from the land blow towards the sea. This movement from the sea towards the land during the daytime is known as the sea breeze. During the night time, the land cools down faster because in daytime the land heat up so fast. That's why it cools down the fast as well. But sea remains warm. Again now the hot air above the sea rises and the cool air above the land rush to take the place of the air above the sea, and the air from the sea take the place of the land. Now this causes the movement of the air, and this movement of breeze from land to the sea is known as the land breeze. The one important difference between the sea breeze and land breeze that sea breeze occur during the daytime, whereas the land breeze occur during the night time. In the land, the air is moving from land to sea, but in the sea breeze, the air is moving from the sea to land. Now next is the water. The most of the earth is covered with water. That's why it is also known as the blue planet. Most of the water in the earth is present in the form of sea and ocean. It also found in the lakes, river, well, underground reservoirs. The heat of the sun changes the state of water as well. The first process is known as the evaporation. Due to the heat of the sun, the water changes into the water vapor. It means that the liquid state of the water is going to be changed into the gaseous state, and this process is known as the evaporation. Higher the evaporation, the higher the amount of the water vapor in the atmosphere, which which increase the amount of the humidity in the environment. Next is the evaporation is depend upon the different factors. Number one is the wind. Evaporation is faster if the movement of the wind is high, because the moving wind absorb water more quickly. Next is the temperature. Evaporation is faster when the sun shines brightly. As the sun is bright, it changes the state of water easily. Next is the dry air. The dry air heat ups or do the evaporation faster than the normal air, because it takes up the moist air. It takes up the water vapor more than the moist air. Next is the surface area. The larger will be the surface area, the more will be the process of the evaporation. Next is the condensation. We know that when the water vapor, which is a gaseous state of the water, changes into the water droplet, that is the liquid form of water, by the process known as condensation. So it means that the change of water vapor into the water on cooling is known as the condensation. As the water vapor rises up in the air due to the process of evaporation, as they move up, the temperature comes down, and due to the less temperature or the low temperature, the droplets of the water come close to each other and result in the process known as the condensation. And due to this condensation, the cloud forms. When the cloud becomes heavy enough, the water vapor transforms into the water and fall down as a rain. Not only the rain occur, it comes down in a form of a fog, dew, frost by the different process of condensation. Example, the rain. When water evaporates, the water vapor rises up. It means that when the water evaporates, the rises up, the water vapor cools as it goes up and changes into the tiny droplets of water. These droplets join together and form the cloud. When the cloud become heavy with the water, they come down more and fall down as a rain. Next is the fog. Fog is a mixture of water vapor with very cold air and change that the drop of water and form a blanket of a cloud around on the surface of a water or land, and makes the things visible to makes the thing difficult to visible to us. Next is the dew. In the winter, when the water vapor in the air condenses on touching the cold surface, it converted into the small droplet of water. This is known as dew. That's why in the winter morning you will see the dew on the grass or on the different types of things which is present in the open air. Next is the frost. When it is very cold, the dew or the surface of water freezes into tiny white color crystals, and this is known as the frost. Hail. When the rain drops passes through a very cold region of the atmosphere, or the particular region of the atmosphere where the temperature is very low, they get freeze and form the hail. Next is snow. Now, snow forms when the water vapors turn directly into the ice instead of changing into the water. This happens when water condenses and around the ice crystal. Next, the process of evaporation and condensation take place continuously in nature. This process of moving water from the surface of the earth to the atmosphere, and atmosphere to the surface of the earth result in the formation of water cycle. Water evaporates from the land, river, sea, lake, ocean, and condense to form a cloud. Cloud become heavy enough and give that water back to the land in a form of a rain, sleet, hail, snow, and fill the different water bodies again, so that the water can evaporate again for the formation of the cloud. Next is the water impurities and their purification. We know that rainwater is the purest form of water. But when the rain droplets are coming from cloud to the land, between there there is a different layer of the dust particles and the air pollution, the water pollution is there, due to which that rainwater get the impurities which contaminates that water and do not make that water fit for the consumption. So that's why the rainwater is not is the purest form of water, but when it reaches to the earth it not is pure as that it is present in the atmosphere. So when you have to use that water, you must purify that water by the term, by the different method, and this process is known as the purification. Impurities are of two types: the soluble impurities and the insoluble impurities. Soluble impurities means those impurities which get soluble in the water, and the insoluble impurities are those impurities which do not soluble in water. Soluble impurities are some salts which you can't see because as they get dissolved in the water, whereas the insoluble impurities like the stick, mud, stone, etc., the polybags, different things, you can see in that thing floating in the water or the moving in the water, and they are known as the insoluble impurities. You can move that soluble and insoluble impurities by the different methods. The first method is the sedimentation. The process of settling down the heavy impurities present in the water, and we do not touch that liquid for some time so that the heavy impurities settle down at the bottom of the beaker or the container. That process is known as the sedimentation. It is basically used to remove the sand from the water. Next is decantation. Decantation is followed by the sedimentation. If you done the sedimentation, you have to do the decantation then. You can't do the decantation without the sedimentation process. Now, because of the impurities are heavy in weight, they settle down at the bottom of the water. The clean water is present above the beaker, above that layer. You have to pour that clean water into the another beaker, so without disturbing that impurities, and this process is known as decantation. Next is the filtration. At home, we know that while pouring tea, our mother used strainer. This process is known as a filtration. Same in the school laboratories. The student use the filter paper. It is not like a normal paper. It is a different paper which has a small pores on it, so that when the water passes through it, it leaves the solid impurities like a sand, mud on the paper, and the water passes through it. Now your AquaGuard, your purifiers, your ROs are all work on the process of the filtration. There are many other soluble impurities also in the water. You can remove that impurities simply by boiling the water. It means that the safest and the cheapest process of purifying the water is the boiling the water. Even the some chemicals like the chlorine, bleaching powder, even in the potassium permanganate are used in your home tanks or the water tanks, so that it kills the germs which is present in the water. Although these chemicals are not harmful for the human if they use in a limited way. That's it. Thank you and have a nice day.